Hello, everybody. This is the next video. We're going to go ahead and get into how to analyze a political cartoon or poster. So first, thinking about political cartoons, there's lots to break down, right? This is a larger cartoon, larger image. Don't even know where to begin. These are the steps that can be useful not only in this unit, but later units if you would like to refer back to it. So first, when looking at a political cartoon or a poster, you're going to start with people. Who is in the image? Okay. Two, objects or symbols. What things are in the cartoon and what do they mean or represent? So one, people, two, objects or symbols. Then the third is the setting, so the location or place of this political cartoon. Four is text. Does it say something somewhere? What does that mean if it does? Five, engagement. What is happening or going on in the cartoon? Six, author's message. When you put it all together, what is the author trying to say? Seven, author's point of view. How does the author see things? How is the individual portrayed in the cartoon or individuals? Eight, summary. Who holds the power? Government or monopolists, which is for this unit. So I know that was a lot, but I'm going to go step by step with you guys to kind of give you an example of how to break down a political cartoon. So this political cartoon on the left is the one that we're going to be breaking down. So if we're thinking back to this structure, we're going to start with one was people. So who's in this image? So we're going to look at the image, think about what we know about monopolies, where we've heard of Standard Oil before. And for this one, it's going to be John D. Rockefeller is the main person in this image. I'm thinking context clues, right? So Standard Oil, this is an oil lit lamp, lots of money. There's monopoly. When I think of monopoly, I think of John D. Rockefeller. So again, why him? Well, he was a monopolist during the Industrial Revolution. So this political cartoon was portraying him and a certain message, which we'll get into. So one, for people, it's John D. Rockefeller, right? Using context clues, Standard Oil, monopolies, the lit lamp. So using context clues, you can kind of break down and kind of figure out, based on your prior knowledge and background knowledge, who this person or persons might be. So the second one was objects and symbols, right? So we know this is John D. Rockefeller going off the first step. So what objects are in this photo? So look around, looking at the objects in this photo. This looks like it's a globe. This is a lamp. This is a crown. This is an oil barrel because this is oil on it. And then there's money here at the bottom. So breaking it down, what does the world or globe mean? Well, to me, when someone's holding a world or a globe, it kind of shows power, right? So John D. Rockefeller is showing power within this photo that he almost owns the world, right? He has the world in the palm of his hand. Moving on to the lamp, what does the lamp mean? Well, I know that he owns oil. There was oil lit lamps. He was kind of that bright light, the power, the bright light. So putting globe and lamp together, he's that powerful bright light with the company that he had. And then the next one is crown. What does the crown mean? Well, prior knowledge, when I'm thinking about crowns, I'm thinking of kings and queens and monarchies. So when I see someone with a crown and is a man, I'm thinking it's a king. So John D. Rockefeller is portraying himself as the king. Kind of, he's got the world in his right hand, and he's got the lamp, the brightness in the left, and he's this king who's got both of them in the palm of his hands. What does the oil barrel mean? Well, I know John D. Rockefeller from prior knowledge owns Standard Oil Company. So this oil barrel kind of represents his company and what he stood for, and the money and the power that he's sitting on this barrel, and that's how he got his power, is what he's sitting on, was the oil, the company that he owned. What does the money mean? The money means the vast amounts of wealth that he had, right? So he had lots of money, lots of wealth that he gained through the Standard Oil Company. And the monopoly there at the bottom of the barrel is kind of representing the money that he had, right? Monopoly, if we are thinking about the term, it means a business with vast amounts of wealth, who has lots of power during the Industrial Revolution, which is John D. Rockefeller. So now we've broken down people, objects and symbols, and third is setting. So setting can be a tough one for political cartoons. So where is this taking place? Well, it's kind of hard to tell looking in the background and the main part of the photo, cartoon. It's kind of hard to tell, right? And you may not always be able to find the setting, and that is okay. That is more than okay. If it's not possible, then it's not possible. But for this one, I'm going to give it my educated guess and say that it's a busy factory kind of in the background, right? He owned a big, large factory during the Industrial Revolution with the Standard Oil Company. So that's what I would say the setting is for this one. So then moving on to text, what is the text that we see throughout this photo, right? So in the background, not a lot to see. It's kind of hard to read, but the one part that we can read that says Standard Oil Monopoly, what do these words represent, right? So the Standard Oil Monopoly, that means that Standard Oil is coming from Standard Oil Company, which John D. Rockefeller owned, and monopoly, it's representing his kind of throne, where he got his power from. The power to the lamp is coming from that barrel. The power to from where the money is coming from, that monopoly. So Standard Oil Monopoly instead of Standard Oil Company, because it was monopoly. That's what it's portraying. Next one is engagement. What is happening or going on in the photo? Why is John D. Rockefeller sitting on a barrel? Why is he holding two items from what you already know? So using prior knowledge that we've already broken down this political cartoon into, he's obviously sitting on this barrel. He's sitting on his throne of where he's gotten his power and wealth from. Why is he holding the two items? I believe he's holding the globe and the world as a sign of power, and the lamp from where he got that power from, which is right below him as well, with the oil from the Standard Oil Company. Next is author's message. What is the main message of this entire political cartoon as a whole? So putting all those parts we just broke down of this political cartoon, putting them all together, what is the main message of this entire political cartoon? What message did the author of this want to give to the public? So the main message is that John D. Rockefeller was a monopolist. He had lots of power, lots of wealth, which it is representing, right? So this is representing him as a wealthy business owner, as a monopolist, and this is how he got to that stage, how he got to that point to become a monopolist. And then there's author's point of view. How does the author see things? How is John D. Rockefeller portrayed or seen as in this cartoon? I see power, I see control from this cartoon. Looks like a very powerful man with the crown, with the world in the palm of his hand, with the massive amounts of wealth and money below him. I also see him as a monopolist. So I believe he's being portrayed as a monopolist king who's got vast amounts of power, lots of money, kind of owns the world, owns his company. And that's the point of view I believe the author is trying to portray. And then last, the summary. So John D. Rockefeller holds the power, which we just discussed. The monopolist holds the power in the cartoon, not the government. So this is portraying the monopolist and the monopolies that had the power, the wealth during the Industrial Revolution. So going back, putting all of these together, we went through people, John D. Rockefeller, who is in the image. We went through objects or symbols, what things are in the cartoon, and we talked about those and what do they mean or represent. We talked about setting, which is the location and place. That one's kind of a tricky one again, but try your best to try and get a setting for most political cartoons. Number 4 is text. Does it say something somewhere? What does it mean? So we saw the writing on the barrel. We kind of, using our prior knowledge, understood what it meant. Next is engagement. What is happening or going on in the cartoon? So we kind of talked about what was going on, how John D. Rockefeller was being engaged, how he was being portrayed throughout this political cartoon. And then we went through author's message. When you put all of 1 through 5 together, what is the author trying to say? The author is trying to say that John D. Rockefeller was a monopolist. He had a monopoly of a company, which was Standard Oil Company, and he had vast amounts of wealth and power as well that came along with that. Then 7, author's point of view. How does the author see things? How is the individual portrayed in the cartoon? The individual is portrayed again with vast amounts of wealth and power, as we can see through the political cartoon. And then last, to sum it all up, who holds the power? In this one, using context clues and the other steps on how to analyze this political cartoon, I'd say that John D. Rockefeller, so the monopolist, held the power in this cartoon. So go ahead and use this for this assignment, but other previous political cartoons, if you need them to break them down, please refer back to this using this structure, using these steps to fully understand what a political cartoon means, as they can be a little bit tricky, but using this structure, you should be able to figure out what is being portrayed through the political cartoon.